Atacama Oases. It's not about what you see, it's about what you hear, so you can truly understand. Just 1 second of your time to subscribe could help us bring you even better content every single day.
Ever wonder if your brain is actually moving slower than the speed of light? Or if your body feels the pain before your mind even realizes it's game over? What really happens to a human in that split second before a thermal blast hits? And how on earth can a silent shockwave wipe you out completely before your ears even pick up the sound? We're about to dive deep into the science behind the unthinkable on our next journey. A nuclear blast moves faster than your brain can even comprehend, with the shockwave tearing through the air at thousands of meters per second. But the wildest part? The light and thermal radiation get there first, moving at a blistering 300,000 kilometers per second. That speed means the event actually happens way faster than your nerves can process it, so by the time your brain realizes what's going on, the actual moment of impact has already passed you by multiple times over. Nerve signals in the human body only travel anywhere from 1 to 100 meters per second, depending on the type of nerve fibers involved. For example, the signals that trigger sharp, intense pain are only moving at about 20 meters per second. That means the signal traveling from your foot all the way to your brain takes a split second to arrive, which is honestly super sluggish compared to the speed of a nuclear blast. When you compare the two, the gap is just massive, to the point where your brain wouldn't even have a chance to register a single feeling before you're already gone. At ground zero, the temperature spikes to millions of degrees Celsius in just a fraction of a microsecond. We're talking about roughly 100 million degrees, hot enough to vaporize any solid matter in the blink of an eye. The human body, which is basically made of water, just turns into vapor and atomic debris in a single microsecond. That's way before any nerve signal can even fire off from your pain receptors. It basically means the vaporization happens over 1,000 times faster than your body could ever process the sensation of it happening. Nerve cells are responsible for zapping sensations through your spinal cord to the brain, but they are super sensitive to heat and pressure. In a nuclear blast, these cells get totally destroyed in way less than a microsecond due to the intense thermal radiation. Since a signal actually needs time to form and travel, the destruction happens before any signal can even start in the first place, so death here totally beats pain, not just in arriving first, but in even happening at all. Your brain is the command center for processing pain, but it's also a super delicate organ that needs constant blood flow and oxygen just to keep the lights on. When a blast hits, the heat wave instantly vaporizes the skull and nukes the brain tissue in a fraction of a microsecond, leaving it totally incapable of receiving any signals. The wildest part is that the destruction of your brain happens at the exact same time the rest of you vaporizes, so there's literally zero time for any processing. Your consciousness shuts down before any sensation of pain can even form. It's super important to draw a line between instant death at ground zero and the aftermath further out. At ground zero, death is instantaneous and completely painless, just like we talked about. It happens in the blink of an eye. But if you're a few kilometers away, a person might suffer from severe burns or shockwaves, and in that scenario, they might actually feel pain for a few seconds before losing consciousness. Still, physical studies totally confirm that anyone right in that vapor zone doesn't last longer than a fraction of a microsecond, which is way too fast for the brain to ever experience a single sensation. Beyond just the heat, a nuclear blast kicks off a massive shockwave that rips through the air faster than the speed of sound. This wave causes instant ruptures in your lungs, blood vessels, and intestines, due to that sudden, extreme change in atmospheric pressure. It's worth noting that this internal damage happens in just fractions of a second, but it doesn't even beat the vaporization in the immediate blast zone. Either way, actually feeling that rupture is totally impossible because your internal nerves get zapped instantly by the combined force of the thermal shock and the pressure blast. A nuclear blast releases massive thermal radiation that can travel for miles, zapping the skin and causing third-degree burns that reach deep tissue in just a few seconds. From a scientific standpoint, skin burns usually trigger pain receptors, but if the radiation intensity is high enough, it totally destroys those receptors before they can even fire off a signal. It's all about the race between how fast you burn and how fast your nerves can respond. That's what decides whether you'll ever actually feel a thing or not. The flash of light from a nuclear blast is thousands of times more intense than the sun, which can cause instant temporary blindness for anyone even looking from a distance. Scientists have actually documented cases where people watching nuclear tests from relatively safe distances ended up with minutes of blindness because their retinas got scorched. The wild thing is that this blindness happens the exact second the blast goes off. It's honestly the fastest sensation a human can register, but it's not really pain. It's just this sudden, shocking, total loss of vision before you even get a chance to process that there's any danger. Scientists rely on physics equations to figure out exactly how far away a person needs to be to potentially survive the pain and the blast. For instance, every time you double your distance from ground zero, the intensity of the heat and radiation drops significantly thanks to the inverse square law. That basically means moving 10 kilometers away slashes the heat intensity down to just 1/100th of what it would be at ground zero. But hey, even at those distances, ionizing radiation is still a huge threat that causes long-term health issues rather than just immediate pain. After the thermal and pressure blast fades, the scariest part is actually the ionizing radiation, which sends particles zapping right through your body and wrecking your cellular DNA. You won't feel this stuff right away though. The symptoms like nausea, weakness, and internal bleeding only show up hours or even days later. The real danger here isn't some instant jolt of pain, it's the slow, steady breakdown of your cells that leads to a much longer struggle, which is totally different from the lights-out instant end you'd get at ground zero. During the nuclear tests back in the mid-20th century, researchers actually documented the reactions of soldiers and civilians who caught a glimpse of the blast from all sorts of distances. Some reports mentioned that the folks who were far enough away totally felt the heat on their faces seconds before the sound wave even hit, creating this super weird sense of time warp. But honestly, not a single case was ever documented of someone feeling pain before losing consciousness in the direct blast zone, which totally backs up the theory that death just beats out pain every single time. Sound only travels at about 343 meters per second, while light and heat are blazing along at the speed of light. This means you'd see the flash and feel the heat way before you'd ever hear the boom, with a time gap that could be minutes depending on how far away you are. But at ground zero? You're gone way before the sound wave even has a chance to reach you, so you never hear a thing and you don't feel a single thing. That time gap between your senses basically makes the full experience of an explosion completely impossible to ever actually process. After walking through all these physics and neurological facts, it's clear that death in a direct nuclear blast happens way faster than your body can even register a sensation. The insane speed of light and heat, the relative sluggishness of nerve signals, and the instant destruction of sensory cells, all of these factors make feeling any pain at that moment completely impossible. This scientific reality is a total reminder of the incredible, precise system designed within our bodies, where everything has its own limit and speed of perception for reasons only the Creator knows. Glory to the Creator who perfected everything.